Ladies and gentlemen, it's Jason Mitchell.
So it's funny, people ask, so why are we fishing here? Like there's some big strategy or some big secret formula. You know, like, oh yeah, when the trees turn yellow and this star's over here. I mean, no, it's like we're here because we caught them yesterday here. I have no idea. I've checked 10 other spots that are kind of like it, and they're not. And there's all kinds of different perceptions with television. People think, wow, so you get so good at fishing that people follow you on a film? No, I wish. But no, actually, I got to wear the same clothes 3 days in a row sometimes.
Yeah. Obviously, you have like the LiveScope, the side imaging, and everything like that. Do you see that as like cheating almost? All right, welcome back to the Beyond the Spotlight podcast, hosted by myself. My name is Jack.
And I'm Aiden.
Today we have Jason Mitchell here with us. Welcome to the show, Jason.
Yeah, happy to be here, man. Thanks for coming.
Absolutely. Thank you to our sponsors, Giant Snacks, Digital Guru, Woods and Irons, All Sauger Meats, and Ed's Bait Shop. He's one of the most respected multi-species anglers in the Midwest, the host of Jason Mitchell Outdoors, and a pioneer in both TV and YouTube fishing content. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Jason Mitchell. Welcome to the show.
Those are your well-known highlights. Now let's get beyond the spotlight. How's it going today?
Good.
All right, so where are you originally from?
You know, I grew up in Minot as a kid, and so I grew up in Minot, and goodness, I came over here in my early 20s and have been here ever since.
What was something that you were interested in? Did you want to go to college? Did you?
I tried it because that's what everybody told me I had to do. You know, you got to go to college. And be honest with you, I just wasn't college material. Looking back, like when I was 20 years old, like how old are you guys right
21.
20.
21. Yeah, you guys are way more impressive than what I was, okay? I'm telling you. When I was like 19, 20, I didn't know what the world had in store for me, right? Everybody said, oh, you got to go to college. I tried that. I was horrible at it. I didn't know it at the time, but really what I was built for was being self-employed.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that when I had no idea when I was 19 or 20. You know, like, for example, if I say something or if I have a deadline, if I have to go all night, work, and not sleep that night, I will get it. Like, I'll be there, right? Like,
Sure.
I'll get it done. Like, there's certain things about me that were perfect for being self-employed. Like, I don't get excited or worked up.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, you can't be an emotional wreck if you're going to run a business.
Right. You can't get too high on the good days, and you can't get too low on the bad ones.
Steady Eddie. You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
And so there's certain things that I was really, that worked well for me being self-employed, but I didn't know that yet when I was 19 or 20.
Right.
And so the reality is that, I dabbled with some college. I never got a degree. I tried a few jobs where I was basically a grunt. Fishing was my passion, right?
Yeah.
Like I'd have a hard time getting to work on time at 9 o'clock in the morning, right? But I could get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to fish or to set up goose decoys. I mean, that wasn't a problem.
Yeah.
And so that was my passion. And, I got to know some of the people up here in Devil's Lake. And, I got to know Kyle at Woodland Resort. And back then, Woodland Resort was a lot smaller than it is today. I mean,
And when you're talking about meeting this guy, at what point of life are you at right now?
your guys' age.
Okay.
This is, excited kid that just somehow wanted to fish for a living. And,
Yeah.
And so got to know some people up here in Devil's Lake. And goodness, I came over, and I remember when I came over, I had a 17 and a half foot tiller boat at the time with a 75 horse on it. And I loaded everything I owned into that pickup and boat. And most of it was goose decoys, and moved to Devil's Lake. And I mean, in the first summer, I slept in a camper with no AC. I had like probably 150 feet of extension cords going through the grass. So,
Oh yeah.
But then I got busy guiding, and some of it was Devil's Lake's an awesome fishery. You're only as good as the lake that you're fishing, and then. Devil's Lake was different, where like all the water coming up, there were so many trees that were flooded and stuff, where people that were coming from outside the area, it was a little intimidating, and the fishing was just different enough to where if you spent your entire career fishing and you fished Lake Geneva in southern Wisconsin, or Chippewa Falls area in northern Wisconsin or northern Minnesota, and if you came to Devil's Lake at that time with the lessons you learned over there, you would really be frustrated and would struggle.
Right.
Because of the snags, for example, you think you're going to fish Devil's Lake all week with 6-pound mono and a box of jigs, you're going to be pulling your hair out. And so
Sure.
in some ways, I was in the right place at the right time, like just falling from the sky, being lucky. Because if there was ever a time and place to come to Devil's Lake and not know the lake well, but understand what that high water was going to do to the fish, it was a perfect timing.
Right.
So you
Right.
hit it just perfect timing.
Because you know what? I didn't know the lake good, right? I was 21 years old and spent most of my time over on Sakakawea or Lake Audubon or the Missouri River or Lake Darling, okay? But I knew what that high water was going to do, and I was flexible in learning new water,
Yeah.
right? And I remember that's something that happened was there's people that would, kind of be kind of negative, or down on what I was trying to do. And they'd be sitting in the bar complaining, which there's still people complaining, right? I mean, but they were hung up on where they've been catching fish for 20 years. Well, when that lake changed, it didn't matter,
Yeah.
right? It didn't matter how many fish you caught in the 80s out from the Towers bait shop. None of that matters anymore because now we're dealing with a whole new lake, and it's been a new lake every year, and so, and then the other thing, I've told this story a few times, but back then there wasn't Google Earth, okay, but there was something that was called terraserver.com. I'll never forget this because it had such an impact on my career. And you could go on and pull up aerial photography of anywhere in the country going back to like the 60s.
Wow.
Okay, there's like old black and white aerial photography. And so I was able to pull up these old black and white photos of Devil's Lake when it was dry. But I would write down latitude and longitude of everything that looked like it could be a spot. Then I would sit there and plug them into my GPS.
Wow.
Like the corner of a field, I couldn't tell exactly what it was, but it'd be like a white circle. It'd be a rock pile, like all kinds of things. There was these flooded cattail beds in the Minnewacan Flats. I'd punch those in. We would troll over the top of them. Even like the road beds and stuff. I mean, none of that stuff was on any map, and so, I punched all that stuff in, and so I had all these spots to fish, in spots where there was new water, new parts of the lake. And goodness, it was
So you were
Yeah.
able to make that full time, though. Was that your full
very
time job?
quickly. I mean,
Really?
very
Yeah.
Okay.
quickly. I mean, I guided that first summer, and in hindsight, I was kind of a busy loser in the sense that at first, when we first started, we would charge by the hour. Well, that was horrible because somebody'd use you for 3 or 4 hours to figure out all these good spots where you're fishing, and then they'd be there the rest of the week. So it's funny, people ask, so why are we fishing here? Like there's some big strategy or some big secret formula, like, oh yeah, when the trees turn yellow and this star's over here and water temperature is this, you do. I mean, no, it's like, we're here because we caught them yesterday here. I have no idea. I've checked 10 other spots that are kind of like it, and they're not. And, can you just be happy that they're here? I don't know.
Yeah.
People overthink things sometimes.
Sure.
Try a lot of things that don't work is what we say, but, that's just kind of some of the backstory, it's, and then one thing led to another. Pretty soon we were adding guides, we were hiring guides, and we were busy and kind of had a certain,
Reputation or
I mean, you hope you get a reputation, but there's a certain way that we wanted to do it where we wanted to make it more professional. Like I remember one time a guy, and granted we tried some guides and hired some guides that ultimately didn't work out that well, right? They were great fishermen, for example, but maybe they didn't have enough patience to deal with people, or they were, maybe they're more focused on pre-fishing for a tournament, or they're more, they had different things in their head that just held them back from being a great guide. And, patience, being able to, work with people, communicate with people, enjoy people. You got to like people. If you don't like people, if you don't want to be around people, you could love fishing, but guiding is not a good fit for you.
Sure.
Right? And there's
Yeah.
people that make that mistake. Like, oh, I love to fish so much. I just want to guide. Well, if you think that somebody's just going to pay to sit in the back of the boat and watch you cast and catch fish all day, that's not how this works.
Right.
Right? I mean, so.
Well, that's kind of what you're doing when you get into the social media industry, though. It's like having someone watching you fish all day. So how long were you in guiding for until you got into like the media side of it?
Well, it was kind of it was kind of a gradual transition. The more we fished, the more we did, the more we got noticed, And so like before social media was big, we used to do a lot of articles and stuff for different magazines.
Yeah.
Writers would call us. I remember like going down to South Dakota and getting paid a bunch of money, what I thought was a bunch of money, do a seminar in some little town in South Dakota. It was in a steel barn. There'd be like 700 people there.
Oh, really? Huh.
I mean, it was before social media. Everybody wanted to know this information. And then one of the things that happened was we were filming all kinds of TV shows. At the time with
the
different
transition into
different people. Basically everybody in the industry. At some point, I think we filmed something with.
Sure.
And Devil's Lake became kind of a hot destination. It was so neat. It was so exotic. The cars in the water, the barns that were submerged in the water, the story, the trees in the water. It's like, where do you ever find a situation like people just couldn't believe it? Like, what do you mean it doesn't flow anywhere? Like, how does it raise 20 feet?
Yeah.
Like they just can't wrap their head around it because they come from an area where there is flowage, where water comes in and water goes out. And you get in the prairie pothole, the drift prairie in particular, and the Katoa, but the whole prairie pothole region, there's a lot of closed basins. It's just dips, and the water doesn't necessarily go anywhere. It doesn't part of a flowage,
Right.
And so that's different. It's just been a really a neat ride when I reflect and look back. But talk about just being so lucky, being in the right place at the right time.
Do you want to talk about a little bit about the shows? How did that work? Did they just approach you guys, and then did they just hop on the boat and started filming a show, and then the rest was up to them, and you just kind of
I wish
took them on a tour? Or how did that go?
No,
Yeah.
People ask all the time, like like there's all kinds of different perceptions with television. People think, wow, so you get so good at fishing that people follow you around to film. No, I wish. Actually, I got to wear the same clothes 3 days in a row sometimes.
Yeah.
But no, basically what happened with my story is that there was a guy that I filmed a lot of shows with. His name was Tony Dean. And so you guys are probably too young to even remember Tony, but Tony had a show on in the Midwest for like 25 years. Okay?
Wow.
And really an iconic person in the outdoors, at least in this part of the world. Had a really popular show, had a really distinctive voice. He had a really popular radio show at the time. He did a lot of stuff with conservation. Anyways, we filmed a lot of shows together and became pretty good friends. And I would say that he became a mentor to me over time. When I was your guys' age, he was one of my mentors. And, he was getting older. And one time he called me up in the fall, like in October, and just, said, hey, want to have supper? And sure, and met up with him that night, and he just told me, hey, I'm looking to retire, and I want you to take the show over. And it was a great blessing, a great, I was flattered. I thought, wow, this is a real opportunity for me. And then Tony and I were going to co-host it together because I knew nothing about television at the time. And I felt like I was a pretty good marketer. Like I had a fishing rod line that was doing well, and I had a lot of things going on, doing some distribution for some tackle and things like that. So my business acumen was growing,
Yeah.
But I didn't know anything about television. And so the plan was Tony and I were going to co-host the show together for a couple of years. Well, then he passed away unexpectedly. Like, goodness, 7-8 months later,
Wow.
Well, that following, I guess it would be that following, let's see here. Would have been, we met that fall, so it would have been about a year later. He passed away unexpectedly. And so, so we ended up kind of going on without him. And goodness, luckily I knew enough people in the industry where I kind of had my own sponsors. I knew some of Tony's sponsors. We lost some sponsors. I always joked if we could have just got 25 cents, a quarter, or a nickel every time an ad agency, for example, told us that we weren't Tony Dean, could have just retired.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
he was such an icon in the industry, been around for so long, and then for me to come in, some people didn't know who I was. And so, there was people that didn't give us a chance, but then there's people that did too.
Right.
And just one thing grew on top of another, and here we are. We've been doing television now for almost 20 years already. So pretty hard to believe.
That's still you're still doing it now?
Yeah, we're still producing television. Our business has changed a lot.
Sure.
Used to be where television was the core of our business. Now television's almost become like a side hustle because we're doing so much digital and YouTube stuff.
Right.
We're putting stuff on YouTube and social media, and then we take some of that and put it on TV.
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
where I got confused. I was like, I thought you were full-time YouTube now, but I
Well,
suppose you're still posting it on everything and then having it on
we're
TV
full-time
as well.
YouTube, absolutely.
Yeah.
But then after it's been on YouTube for 6 months, it'll air on TV for the
Sure.
people that, are still on television. So it's changed a lot for sure.
Right. So, okay, so you got into doing the TV show, and then that was like your full-time deal for a while, or were you still guiding as well?
For the first few years, I was doing a lot of guiding, like way more than I should have been.
Yeah.
And I was young, and when you're young and you have that passion and that drive where you're willing to do whatever it takes, you get it done. But then too, as the television grew, and I had to get out of guiding. You can't. Some of it is as we started traveling and doing so much, it's not like you can go over to Wisconsin for 3 days and say you're on a lake with zebra mussels and you're targeting smallmouth bass, and every rod in your boat's fluorocarbon or mono, straight up mono, and you've got a bunch of hair jigs and all these different things in the boat. Then you come home and you got to bring everything out of your boat, put all new stuff in, and then think you're going to take somebody out and do a great job when you haven't been on the water for 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I had other guides working for me that I could get information from, but it wasn't the same. Right? When you're on the water every day, it's a whole different animal than if you just show up once a week.
Right.
Not to knock on part-time guides, but if a part-time guide isn't tied in with a full-time guide where he can make those phone calls and get that help,
It's a lot tougher.
it's tougher. It is. I mean, there's no doubt about it. So it got to be where I couldn't do both good, and I knew that, and so I backed out of where I wasn't guiding at all. But then Kyle from Woodland Resort and myself, we ran the guide service together for quite a few years, and then things went really well. We had an awesome team of guides, and then I don't know, it was a handful of years ago or so, then we just sold it to Zippy, who we worked with in the wintertime too.
Gotcha.
And so that was kind of how that all came about. But yeah, I always joke. I loved guiding. I always joke that someday if I retire, I might go back to it.
Sure.
I love taking people fishing. As dumb as it sounds, people think, "Oh man, that would be such a headache," or I couldn't deal with. No, it's so much fun taking people that have never caught fish or never caught a lot of fish. They maybe haven't had the highest expectations or the best experiences, and you show them like, this is what this fishing is all about.
Yeah.
It's like life changing.
And I know we know you've got the experience. As you guys can see it for the video watchers, audio listeners, check out the YouTube if you're not on there. But we are in Jason's warehouse or shop, whatever you'd like to call it.
We're in the conference room right now.
We're in conference room right now, and there's mounts everywhere in this place. Yeah, you can tell you got the experience, so that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I mean, we've been lucky.
Yeah.
Lived an incredible life for sure.
Yeah,
Put a lot of
that's
time.
awesome.
Put a lot of time into it too.
Yeah, yeah. So you mentioned you kind of eventually started off going completely on your own. Is that just you running that, or did you start to hire some people underneath you who helped you edit, get in with this TV? How did that work? That transition from full time doing your brand that you have now?
I've been self-employed since I was 21 years old. So I say, I was self-employed when I was 21 years old. I was self-employed and running a business when I was 21 years old. I didn't yet know what I was doing.
Sure.
Right? And so I made all kinds of mistakes, and then I made up for it with effort, right? Like I made all kinds of mistakes, and but I was a workaholic, and I had so much, just so much energy, so much stamina. Like some people can't go on no sleep, and I don't recommend it. It's not like it's something I set out to do. Like your quality of life is not obviously going to be much if you don't ever sleep, but if need be, I could put the hammer down,
Yeah.
And, that's what I did, and so whatever mistakes I made, I was able to overcompensate with effort and just desire, There's so many different ways to be successful. That's what makes this country so incredible. Like you go to an area, say you go to Anamarco Island or whatever, there's just rows of $5 to $10 million homes. Everybody's got a different story.
Yeah.
Right? Not that that's the goal or that's the end game, right? I mean,
Right.
life is different things to different people, but there are so many different ways to skin a cat, and with business especially, there's so many different ways to skin a cat.
Huge thank you to Giant Snacks for sponsoring this week's episode.
From sunflower seeds, pistachios, pumpkin seeds, and cashews, Giants has all the great snacks you need.
Check out some of the great flavors that they offer, from sweet Thai chili all the way to their newest flavor, Taco Tuesday. Seriously, guys, it is the best. There's a reason why they're in every MLB dugout.
It's available online or in stores near you. Go check out their taco flavor. Thank you again, Giant Snacks, for being our main sponsor.
Let's get back to the podcast. When it comes to quality meats, trust the experts at All Sauger Meats. Family owned and operated with locations in Ottoman, Fargo, and now open in Breckenridge.
From hand-cut steaks to in-house made sausage, fresh seafood to smoked bacon, they have everything you need to elevate your meals.
They're open 7 days a week in Breckenridge, so stop in whenever you need. Plus, check out our meat bundle packages and our bulk beef orders for unbeaten value.
Visit allsaugermeats.com or stop into your local Allsauger store and experience the difference in every bite.
All Sauger Meats, your trusted source for quality and freshness. Thank you, All Sauger Meats.
When you think about North Dakota State College of Science, don't think about college. Don't think about desks. Don't think about buildings. Don't think about our expert instructors or our high-tech classrooms. Think about that new pickup you'll soon be driving. Think about decorating your first apartment. Think about that great job that's already waiting for you. Then, think about how you'll be doing all of those things in just 2 years. North Dakota State College of Science, the smarter way to college.
So going on to the business side of it, you've been in magazines, you've been on TV, you're on YouTube. But one thing that we haven't hit on is you have lines of rods. And then if you go to Shields, you'll see Jason Mitchell ice houses, like the flip overs, the pop-ups, and all that kind of stuff. Your collab with Clam. Talk a little bit about that, because I have never seen pretty much anyone else's name on an ice house before. So like it's pretty cool to be able to sit and talk with you about it. How did that happen? And just touch on it a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting story. One of the things that did happen is as my career progressed, I found that I really enjoyed business. Like, I enjoyed the challenges. I enjoyed learning different things. I found out that there's some things that I'm not good at. It's kind of a deal where whatever it is you get going in business, whatever it is that you're not good at or that you're terrible at, there's somebody that was born to do it. Right. Mm-hmm. And I kind of quickly realized that, in fact, a lot of businesses fail where you get two people that are really good friends because they have the same interests and the same skill sets. And what happens so often in life is we overvalue our own skill sets and undervalue the skill sets that somebody else may have. And so then you're attracted to people that are just like you.
Sure.
Well, then when you go to business together, the things that you're not good at, neither of you are good at.
Right.
And
That
you
makes
don't
sense.
and you don't complement each other. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yep.
I've never heard of that before.
So there's a lot of businesses that fail when a couple of buddies get together and start a business because they don't overlap and complement each other.
Yeah.
Okay. It's, in business, a lot of times you need like that visionary person that is has a real passion, a real pulse of the industry, but they almost always need a choke chain and a bean counter behind them. The bean counter needs the visionary needs a bean counter. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Otherwise, neither of them. You got to have that yin and that yang. Okay, and so basically, like with the ice rods, it really grew. I mean, at one time we were the most expensive ice fishing rod you could find at like a Shields or a Cabela's or a Sports
Really?
Warehouse at $30 for a rod.
Really?
That's how much the industry has changed. But at one time, we were the most expensive rod in a big box store, and we had the market share. Well, then everybody came after us after we had that success. And everybody started making high-end rods. Now $30 would be considered a lower mid-range rod.
Right.
But back then, a $30 to $40 rod was like a high-end because everything else is $15 or $20 combo, And so, had that success in the ice rods. I mean, it really blew up. I mean, we were selling a lot of them. I mean, we were shipping them out the door every day. And one of the things that happened is the business kept growing and growing and growing. As it grew, I started realizing the things that I was really bad at. And it just made sense for me to sell to Clam, where the things that I was bad at, they were good at, right? And so, and then I could focus on the things that I enjoyed: fishing, promoting fishing, being on the ice. I'd rather be on the ice than be in an office. And so sold that business to Clam. They took over the distribution. I'm still involved as a consultant, and I'm still involved with it. I got to sign off at anything that they put my name on, but it's just been a great ride, and it's just been a great exposure and presence for us too. So it's just a again, being in the right place at the right time. Ice fishing was so small when we started compared to now.
Yeah.
Even like the selections and the amount of product that's available. Even I look back at like the St. Paul Ice Show, what it was, say, 20 years ago compared to what it is now it's changed a lot. So.
Touching on Vexilar and like some of the new technology that's come out in fishing in the last few years, obviously you have like the LiveScope, the side imaging and everything like that. Do you see that as like cheating almost? Because there's a lot of people that aren't big into fishing that are almost, you could say, like jealous or envious of people who have the money to be able to afford that. They're like, oh, that's cheating. What are your thoughts on that?
We've been cheating for the last 10,000 years. I mean, seriously. I mean, there was a time where you had to nap your own flint and you had to practice to get competent at shooting at 15 yards.
Yep.
And then a longbow came onto the scene, and then bronze, and there's all these different things. Like think about it. If you were to rip our clothes off and throw us out into the snowbank, we wouldn't make it for 2 hours.
Right.
We are the most helpless human beings are the most helpless animals on the planet. The only way we have a chance of succeeding in this world is with our brains. That's all we've done is use our brains. That's all we've ever done is use technology. And so it's so stupid when you have some 60-year-old dude, oh, it would be impressive if you caught those fish without LiveScope. Oh.
Right.
Or active target, I'm a Lowrance guy, and
Sure.
Oh, that's cheating. That's what? Cheating. Oh, when you were 16 years old and four-wheel drive pickups went away from a hub where you could just push a button, and scopes had turrets on them, and rangefinders are brand new, and trail camera. I mean,
Those were
were
cheating at the time then.
you look at, like, I love reading like the history of like this area, for example. You look at like a lot of Native American history and stuff, and like Sitting Bull was notorious for wearing a cotton T-shirt. Think about that. The T-shirts that you guys are wearing right now at one time was technological advancement compared to what was available as far as enabling you to sweat and be comfortable.
Yeah.
Right? You think about everything that we do, and so these people that endorse technology their entire lives, right? Whether it's going from black powder to a rifle cartridge, right? Things that were more dependable, things that were more comfortable, Gore-Tex gloves,
Right, yeah.
boots with liners. I mean, like, you name it, right? And all this new generation, wah, 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 wah. You know what? The difference is that, it's I'll never be that guy, right? Because talking about when I was 18, 19, 20 years old, I was figuring out how to use a GPS. Okay, there's no mapping. I say, oh yeah, when I was a kid, we had a GPS with no maps. Well, then the next guy says, well, yeah, when I was a kid, we didn't have GPS. Like, it's all relative.
Right.
It's all relative.
So, playing devil's advocate, though, do you think that more or too many fish could be getting caught? There's too much pressure on these lakes because so many people are out there
Here's
with
the
these.
thing is, it's not the technology, it's us.
Sure.
If you were to talk to somebody that was hunting 50 years before you, they would look at you as the biggest pansy ass on the planet.
Right.
Right? I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
Like no matter what you're doing.
Yep.
And so that, I don't know, that self-righteous tone is so stupid. To me, it's amateur hour. You know? It's, oh, I'm so good because I did it this way and these kids do it, and it's like, you know what? You're shooting a cartridge, right? Think about it. You're shooting a cartridge. There was a time where that was a huge technological advancement.
Sure.
Not that long ago, really. 150 years ago. And so, or you drive a four-wheel drive pickup where you're going, but you do it the hard way.
Right.
You see what I mean?
It's all relative. Yeah,
It's all
for sure.
relative. And no matter who you think you are, no matter how tough, no matter how good, no matter the great white hunter that you think you are, if you were to talk to somebody that was a generation ahead of you, they would look at you and laugh.
So, with any equipment, let's say you go out. How do I want to ask this? I've had an argument with this friend for a long time whether fishing it takes skill or if it's completely luck. What is your take on that?
I just heard a great quote that it's a lot easier to master skill than to master luck. Okay?
Sure.
or
I mean,
to better be lucky than good. Obviously, it takes both. But I think the more you're skilled and the more time you put in, the luckier you get. The harder you work, the luckier you get. But, getting back to, if you were to give a lot of people forward-facing sonar, for a long time, they would catch a lot fewer fish.
Really?
Reason being is, like, say, for example, you go to a reservoir or go to a lake, there's all kinds of fish. Okay, because there's people, you can tell people have never used it. Because they're like, oh, that's cheating. You just drive up, see a bass from 200 feet away and just drive up to it and catch it. That's not fishing. That's like spotlighting deer, right? Okay, put that trolling motor in the water and show me.
Yeah.
Do it, okay? I guarantee you that most people would spend a big part of the day chasing carp around. They'd be casting at suckers. I don't know why they don't want to. Like, there's a lot to it, okay? Or even the boat control necessary, where with 1 foot you're trying to steer the motor and you're trying to line up perfectly on a fish and you're making a cast and, oh, I missed the fish. I mean, there's a lot to it. I mean, most people can't even physically.
Right.
I think a lot of people would struggle with it, okay? There's a lot to it. I think a lot of people would catch fewer fish, okay? Ice fishing, it seems like you see this more so, but in shallow water sometimes it's like sometimes it seems to spook the fish, especially with shallow walleye.
Right, yeah, I have seen
perch,
that lately. Yep.
I mean, or they won't come in past that first lobe, and so, and again, like with ice fishing, you get out of it what you put into it. If you're just going to sit in an ice castle fish house and put your pole down, you see fish swim by. It's entertaining, but is it changing the way that you fish? Nah. In some ways, you might catch fewer if fish don't want to swim into that first lobe.
Right.
And you've been better off with a Vexlar, okay? But the way it really changes fishing is when you put it down the hole and you can look in forward mode. Oh, there's a school of crappies over there, over a basin is the best example.
Sure.
And then walk somebody in on those fish and drill on top of them, hope that they don't move when you drill a hole, and then try to catch them. That's where it shines, But where does it stop? I don't know if the technology is something to worry about. It's our perceptions and what we do as anglers.
Mm-hmm. So we have a couple more things we want to go over with you quick.
Yeah.
What are you up to now? What does day-to-day look like for you?
Oh, goodness. A lot of fishing. A lot. We're starting to do a lot. Well, we still do a fair number of television episodes, but we're doing a lot more of the shorter stuff for YouTube. That just things that we kind of see that, I think a lot of people would want to know this information, or we've had a lot of people ask this question. And so we'll just do a shorter video just kind of explaining, here's a question, here's an answer.
Right. Yep.
Social media is going to continue to be big for us. One thing that's changed a lot is we used to do a lot of articles and distribute photography for magazines and stuff, and we've pretty much completely walked away from that and just focus everything on
social media
and digital stuff.
No plans on stopping?
No, I have too much fun.
Yeah.
I really do. I mean, I'll retire someday, but I don't know when. I really enjoy what I do. I mean, enjoy the industry. I enjoy the people, the fishing, obviously. I enjoy learning. There's always still so much to learn about fishing. There's so many things that are changing and evolving. And
So we have some rapid fire questions from the fans.
okay.
We posted on our story that we were interviewing you. If you guys do not follow us on Instagram, go check that out. We're super interactive on the story. So we posted and asked if anybody had any questions for you.
All right.
So the first one we have is, what is your go-to setup for walleye?
I would say probably a jig most of the year. But I tell you what, I mean, this time of year, like from here on in, right now, man, you could not go wrong with a bottom bouncer. Either a plain snell or a spinner. Fish fast, fish slow, a lot of different ways. Like if I were like a guide, where I just had to take somebody fishing and make it really easy, still fun. I think bottom bouncers are fun as far as holding the rod and fish hit them pretty hard.
Yeah.
It'd be tough on Devil's Lake to beat a bottom bouncer from here until the end of the year.
Sure. Is there any outdoor myths or bad advice that you often hear in the industry that you don't believe is true?
Oh, there's a lot of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty simple. Like, people get so hung up over like the cosmetics of lures and like colored hooks are the best example. They've got all these different colors. Oh, you got to use orange. Oh, this makes a difference. That makes a difference. They don't even have a hook file in their boat. What difference? You know what I mean? Like, give me a sharp hook. I think for like deer hunting, like peeing, I don't even want to tell people this because people say, "Oh, that's horrible. Oh, those deer can smell you." No, like people argue with me till the end of time, but I pee on a mock scrape to start it.
Really?
On the ground,
Yep.
and then rough it up.
Yep.
Yep.
I wear a rubber boot and I take a rake, a metal rake, and that's how I start mock scrapes. And I'll have deer using it 3 hours later. Okay, deer are not in tune to smelling your urine and distinguishing it as being a human for whatever reason. Okay, there's a lot of other things that they smell they want nothing to do with, but urine is not one of them.
Really?
And so these people that, oh, you got to carry a bladder or you got to carry a bottle and do this and do that and carry this bottle of your own urine around. It's a myth. Like I'm telling you, it's like people that say that and preach it. I don't know, they believe it, but it's wrong, and people will be commenting or whatever. And I'll argue with them, but
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, it's that's probably one of the big myths in deer hunting, or that you can eliminate your smell.
Sure.
You know, like deer are gonna smell you. I mean, they've got a nose like a bloodhound. Like for example, say if you broke out of prison and you're trying to get away and you had a half-day head start. You finally broke your tunnel through to the other side of the fence, right? And they sent dogs on you. Do you think there's anything that you could do to hide your scent from the dogs? Maybe get on top of a car and go down the highway for 50 miles, right?
Yeah.
Or cross a river and float down the river for 10 miles. But they would walk the bank and pick your track up. Like, do you think there's anything that you could do in the woods without getting on a vehicle or getting in a river that you could ever hide your smell from a tracking dog?
Right.
Like,
Same
no.
thing with the deer.
Same thing with the deer.
We got 3 more questions, and it's like you got to pick one or the other.
Okay.
Shields or Cabela's?
Shields all the way. That's not even a question.
Berkeley or Rapala?
Rapala.
And ice fishing or open water fishing?
Oh, goodness. Depends on what time of year.
Best prime time for open versus prime time ice fishing.
No, I'm thinking like August when it's 110 degrees and I'm just sweating. I'm thinking I cannot wait for early ice.
Sure.
Summer's going to feel so good. And then in about January 15th when it's 40 below and the wind's blowing 30 miles an hour, like, God, what I would do for 60-degree water temperature on Devil's Lake in late May.
100%.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Right, so it just depends on what. Yeah, I hope I never get to pick, but I love the change of seasons.
Yeah.
Like I really do. Like I love going from one thing to the next. By the end of the, I think it would be terrible. Like living, say like a saltwater town where it's just the same thing year round.
Yeah.
And you might get parts of the year that are maybe a little cooler, a little wetter, whatever, but it's the same thing. I think it's great having these different
4
seasons and different things to look forward to that are so different. You know,
Right. Since 1958, Ed's Bait and Tackle has been your one-stop shop for everything fishing. Located in Devil's Lake, North Dakota.
When you're done fishing, bring your fish over to their heated and cooled cleaning station. Right after that, bring it over to their restaurant. They will cook it up for you. Need propane or gas?
They've got that too.
Also, don't forget, you can book your guided fishing trip with Bry's Guide Service.
Right there inside of Ed's Bait and Tackle. Seriously, you guys, this place has it all. Make sure you stop into Ed's Bait and Tackle if you're in Devil's Lake. Thank you for sponsoring Ed's Bait and Tackle.
Need a smarter way to manage your business IT?
Digital Guru's Desktop as a Service gives you a secure access to your desktop, files, and apps from anywhere.
No more expensive servers or security worries. Windows, Office 365, email, and more is stored safely in the cloud, keeping your data protected and your team connected on any device. Take control of your IT today.
Click the link in our description to visit digitalguru.com to get started now. Thank you so much, Digital Guru, for hooking it up with these microphones.
Enjoy our next ad.
Discover Woods and Irons in Wahpeton, North Dakota, your ultimate golf destination. With a family-friendly environment 6 days a week, it's the perfect spot for golfers of all ages. Adults can kick back with a drink from the driftwood, and if you're hungry, pizza is just one order away. Hours may vary during the summertime, so to check for availability for our bait, go to our website.
Whether you're sharpening your skills or just having some fun with your friends, Woods and Irons is the place to be.
Book your bait today. Thank you, Woods and Irons. We have a game where we're going to basically find out what your favorite fish to catch is. It's like a tournament.
Okay.
So I'm going to say 2 fish. You tell me which one you like better, and then we'll move on to the second round.
Okay.
Walleye or pike?
Walleye.
Muskie or largemouth bass? Yeah, that's a tough one. I like catching a bunch of largemouth.
Yeah, largemouth
but
are just such a great fish. I mean, yeah, but Yeah, well, I just think it would be sad if you never caught another muskie again.
Right. Crappie or perch?
Perch.
And then lake trout versus rainbow trout.
Lake trout.
Perch or lake trout?
Lake trout.
Muskie or walleye?
Oh, God. Walleye.
And then lake trout versus walleye.
Oh, please. Don't make me do it.
Oh, man.
I'm not a tattoo guy, but I always figure if I ever got a tattoo, I think it'd be a lake trout.
Yeah?
No, I probably walleyes year round, but lake trout in the wintertime are one of my favorite things. I just love it. But I guess I'd have to probably settle with walleye if I could do one.
How often do you catch and release, and how often do you eat them? Bring them back.
I probably mostly catch and release. I mean, I eat them once in a while. I eat fish once a week, once every 2 weeks. I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't have to eat it every day. I've done that, and like after a while, you get the heebie-jeebies. You know, I mean, I remember a couple times we went up to Canada for like a week. I just remember thinking, well, I'm the boss, so I got to pay for all the food and everything that people do. Like, well, I'll just get some fish batter and a bunch of oil, and we're just gonna eat fish every day and potatoes, and life's good, and it ain't gonna cost me hardly anything. And I got a good crew of men here that are gonna be all over this. And everybody's good, right? Geez, after 6, 7, 8 days, and then I didn't bring anything to drink but water. So water, potatoes, and fish. Like it was like after a week or so, you're just waiting to put something different in your mouth, like sugar, like anything. You know? like we had that for 3 meals a day or 2 meals a day, and you get sick of eating fish.
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, I like eating fish a lot, but I don't have to do it every day. Like I'm not out there to. I think it's an important thing to eat fish. Like I don't think that's a bad thing at all. But I don't know. Like to me, people golf, they don't eat the golf ball. I'm out there for fun. That's what I love to do. And eating fish is a great part of it. But I would say most days I don't keep fish. Most days I hardly ever keep them actually. Maybe once a month, and I like to eat them fresh. I don't. Yeah.
So the last thing we have for you is, what advice would you give for someone that wants to follow in your footsteps, whether that's with guiding, content creation, or just being an outdoorsman?
Oh, this is something I've told people a lot over the years, but put the resource in the industry ahead of yourself. So many people are attracted to the fishing world because of their own ego. They want to be the man. They want to be the world's greatest fisherman. It's so humbling and humiliating that you're going to have your good times, your good days. You're going to have your days where everything lines up. Then you're also going to have days where nothing does, And so it kind of beats up on you mentally. So if you don't have a real passion for it, you just don't last long enough. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Like you get beat on so bad for so long that you just, like if you don't truly love it, you'll never be able to hang with it long enough.
Yeah, if you're in it for the wrong reasons, you're going to get burnt out.
Like I see it, like in fishing, I see it where these people are just, they got stickers all over their vehicle, all over their top, or you think, wow, this guy's got all kinds of sponsors and, this and that, and it goes after pretty hard. And it's all about me, how great I am. I'm the world's greatest fisherman. I'm better at fishing than you are. First of all, it's not relatable to the general public where you're not influencing a buying decision, right? People aren't going to buy something because you think you're so great, right? And so it doesn't do anything that way. So you're not making any money. Nobody's good enough to make that much money to dominate with the fishing end of it, right? I mean, if you win some of the biggest tournaments in the Midwest, you're looking at $100,000.
Right.
Well, you look at all the time and all the effort and everything else, and the fact that it might be 4 or 5, 3 years, 2 years before you win another tournament, and you don't know when, right? It's not like you can even go to the bank and borrow money.
Right.
Like you can't, and so it's not, like there's got to be more to it than that. And you have to have a true passion for it. You have to like people. If you don't like people, it's not a good industry to be in, because it's probably, the fishing industry is more about people than it is about fishing. Right?
And branding, right?
Well, and branding, but if you don't like people, if people don't like you,
yeah,
you're not getting the fishing industry.
Right.
Right. I mean, it's just because there's a social component to the fishing industry. Nobody gets paid just to fish. Okay. other than that, everybody has their own way. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to have success. The beauty of it is that you can use different recipes and have success. It's not like one way is right, one way is wrong. Everybody can do it their own way. And I think the other thing is from a personality standpoint, you do have to be authentic.
Yeah.
You just have to be yourself. Like whatever that is, whoever that is, you got to embrace that. Don't try to pretend to be somebody else. And that was probably a mistake that a lot of people have made is like at one time, and still, like you look at like somebody like Kevin Van Dam, they were just at the peak of their game, right? And for a long time, everybody's trying to be like Kevin Van Dam. Kevin Van Dam was a very polished individual.
Yep.
Okay. Very, very good at what he does, but he had a certain style. Okay. Well, then somebody new comes along that is just unapologetically themselves. It's unique. Like say like somebody like Mike Iaconelli, for example.
Yep.
Complete opposite, right? Flat brim, very emotional. Like he had a completely different persona, but he attracted a different type of crowd, right? And so it worked for both people, And so you look at everybody that's successful. Successful people come in a lot of different flavors, which makes the world beautiful, But they're all unapologetically themselves.
Awesome. Well, we just want to thank you letting us come out here to your beautiful shop. It was super cool to see this. I
Yeah.
did not expect it at all.
Yeah.
But no, thank you. Great conversations. And yeah.
So one thing we do at the end of our show, as you saw, we're sponsored by Giant Snacks. We have a bunch of seeds here, so we'll get you a bag. We have
All right.
original taco. They have their new taco flavor, so we'll get you a taco flavor as well.
All right.
So yeah, thank you again, and thank you all for watching the Beyond the Spotlight podcast. We'll see you guys next Monday at 6 p.m. Make sure you like and subscribe and leave a comment, and we'll see you then.
Peace.
Peace.
Is this peace?
Yeah, peace.
Peace.